Hello, sorry. I got distracted. I'm not gonna lie to you. Bear with me. I don't know what is going on today with my thing. Hello, Roxanne.
Hello, there we go.
Awesome.
See, it's not Poe, but it's something. I pulled it together.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And
Alright,
then we
I'm
have,
sorry. I'm a hot mess, so bear with me a moment.
that's all right. Cheyenne was experiencing some technical difficulties, so we appreciate everyone who waited a couple minutes.
And I'm gonna apologize now to everybody that is gonna watch this live. I'm not sure if you can see it. My daughter is in the background back there. This is the only place she can play the Oculus. So if you I told her to keep it down, but if you hear yelling every once in a while, that it's her.
Hey, Roxanne. Hey, Billy Jones. Hey, Cheyenne, is your phone sitting against something?
Yes.
It's echoing.
Okay, give me a second.
Okay. Normally, I'm really bad with the echo. Oh, I thought it was me for a second, and I was like, oh, wait, for once it wasn't.
No, it's me. I'm sorry. I usually have it in front of my computer, but I was trying to, there we go, find our notes.
I'm so glad that it's not as hot outside and we're finally getting a breeze. I can actually like enjoy existing outside. It's nice.
I am right there with you. All right. You know what? I'll put it on this side.
There we go.
We're gonna, yeah, murder the dog, please. No, I'm just kidding. He just doesn't stop barking. All right. I don't know how many people are on, but I am gonna go ahead and get started because I am late due to technical difficulties. Um, Welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back to our What's the Tea on Tarot for September. Um, we are excited to continue this program with you this month. Now, I also want to make sure that I add a little personal note here. For those of you who do our tarot program, I just want to let you know, ladies, I will not be participating this time around. That is falling way too close to my wedding, so I will not be able to participate. So I am sorry in advance. That's why I wanted to add this to the welcome back portion.
I will still be participating in this month's go around. And thank you all for watching the replay. If you're catching the replay, you can comment throughout it as if it's happening live. Me and Cheyenne both check the comments super often. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Beth.
Hi, Mom. Hello, Catherine. All right, so let's go over last program. We had a lot of wonderful questions during the live and during the replay. There was a lot of high engagement this time around. I could really feel the high vibes and the great energy from each and every one of you. You guys were really digging, trying to learn what we were trying to present to you. So thank you guys for that. I really love the energy. The group chat was utilized really well. The only thing I have to comment on is the utilization of the polls. The polls are there for us to see everybody's progress so that we're monitoring on our end. So please keep that in mind if you do continue the tarot program and if you want to join in on the tarot program. That is something that we really need you guys to participate in. We don't ask for a lot.
Also, using the polls helps it to where we don't have to reach out and like ask you a whole bunch of questions because we can just check the poll real easily and see what's going on without having to like jump in the middle of things.
Um, Good job at reaching out to me and Sarah with questions, comments, and concerns. You guys did great with that. Hello, Ellen, and hello, Renee. Oh, thanks, Roxanne. I'm excited. It's coming up quick. I'm also nervous, but not because I'm nervous for normal reasons.
Before we get too far into this, I have to say your background is really pretty too.
Oh, thanks. That's my mom's unicorn collection going strong on the wall.
Nice.
And then
Pretty.
that's half of my witchy stuff for
Nice.
my herbs and stuff. So thank you guys for utilizing that chat and really asking questions and letting us know how things were going on your end and how you were going through each program. The communication here is what we really need to keep this program running as smooth as it does, because as long as you guys are communicating, everything goes so much more smoothly. Everybody knows what one person is saying to the next. If there's an issue, it can be addressed immediately. And those are things that I like to do immediately, not at the end of the program. So thank you guys for all of that. I do want to give myself a second.
Hey,
I want to
Marcy, and no worries about being late. We are just going over the we're just hopping into the feedback from y'all on the last program, and then we're gonna get into the live, so you haven't missed much.
Not at all. Oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie. I do apologize. Yeah, my mom's obsessed with unicorns, Ellen. Unicorns and koala bears.
That's a good combo.
And hello, Marcy. Nice to see you again. All right, I'm gonna jump into the feedback. Did you enjoy participating this time around? Why or why not? One person said just yes. Another person said sort of. This was the least favorite experience I had thus far. I wasn't connected to my reading, and my partner is very busy, so there wasn't much give and take. Yes, I loved adding 2 decks for a challenge, and having a question for the theme was really nice. Yes, I did. I liked the theme and had a really good read for and by my partner. Felt that it really was on point. Yes, I really enjoyed it as it gave me more practice at my tarot skills. Yes, I absolutely loved it. I got it reading and got to give one. My partner, Sarah, was amazing. Aw, see, I told you you're amazing. Yes, I did. I'm excited to learn more. I obtained techniques. However, my partner had some issues, so it wasn't that interactive. Yes, Mom. I know, they're awesome. What a happy
Thank you,
combo.
Catherine.
Thank you. You're great. It's a hard name to go. Nah, I get it. The next section I want to go
Thank you
into.
guys. Y'all are all sweet. The chat's being nice, and so are you, Cheyenne. Thanks for that.
I told you.
Here, that's back to you. There you go.
If you answered yes above, please tell me about your struggle and if you were able to overcome it. I struggled giving feedback. I really didn't connect to my reading at all. NA, did not struggle, no struggle. One of my cards didn't resonate with her, and that's okay.
And the thing about this is we're going to talk about how to deal with cards not resonating with you, and also how to give feedback when cards aren't resonating you in this live at the end. So we're going to talk about that later. I think Cheyenne was about to say that.
Yeah, you're golden. How was the communication between you and your partner? Great once we figured it out. Sparse but fine. Great. Okay. I love you guys. Can you work on your spelling? Because I will literally read it word for word. Grammar police, I apologize. It was good. I think my partner and I had amazing communication. We seem to click well when reading for each other. Easy and comfortable, not that great at all. And that's okay. Sometimes, like I said previously, and I've said it numerous times throughout the saga, you won't always resonate with a person, or you won't always connect with a person the way you hoped. And that's okay too.
Our next sign up partnership is going to be this live. We're going over last week's program, then we're going to go over our just information bit, just teaching about tarot, and then we're going to have our next partnership introduced at the end of this live to answer your question.
Good job, Sarah. I just now read it.
You're good. I read the chat, I like it, and then I wait for you to be done talking so that I don't interrupt.
No, you're good. The next question on our list is, what do you think we could work on to make this program better? You're welcome, Billy Joe. I'll answer for you. I don't think it needs any tweaking at this time. I love your wording. Tweaking. Sorry. I really enjoyed the program. It was great. Nothing I can think of at this time. Everything has been so well run. I like the little free read that was done in the middle. Honestly, I think it runs really smooth. I think it's great how it is. I wish the partners were more interactive.
And so on that, I really appreciate who said that they liked the free read in the middle. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that more in just a little bit. And then sometimes partnerships are, some people just don't click as well with others, or sometimes things are just happening in people's lives. So maybe sometimes they're not as great, but that's okay, because then when you get paired up another time, it could be different that time.
Yep. Moving on. We go on to, do you have any suggestions for us for future lives or the partnership program? I love this question because this is the question that we use to put onto our list.
Oh yeah,
so that we can talk about.
If you type in that question, it's going on our list. Like, we're not leaving it out.
Yep, unless we already talked about it.
Yeah,
then we'll just tell you where to find it.
Nice.
All right, so we got not right now, same as usual, more opportunities. Not at this time. Keep with more form. I'm gonna read it that way. Of divination.
Hey, Carol.
Maybe some more little lives of reading cards or divination. I can't think of anything right now, but I'm just excited about the next live. No suggestions, I'm just here learning. That's okay. That's awesome.
Those are all pretty good responses.
And hello, Carol. And the last one on our list here, we have, how was your overall experience? I enjoyed it. It was fun and insightful. Good, but just not as connected. Excellent, great, really enjoyable, 10 out of 10, and fair. All great ratings, if I do say so myself.
Yes, so sort of at the end, to sum it all up, is that just to make sure to keep using that group chat. Y'all are doing a great job. If you see the polls, please make sure to fill them out. We're not putting the polls there to be like group chat police or anything. We just don't want to have to ask you a whole bunch of questions like personally, so we can just pop it up in the poll, and then you can do it at your own time. And then a lot of people were talking about enjoying the free like reads in the middle and stuff like that, and the other forms of divination, because I also did like a pendulum, and then I had tarot cards and regular playing cards. And we're gonna try to do those once a month. Sometimes Cheyenne is a little busy, or maybe I'll be a little busy, so it might be just one of us for that month, or you might be blessed with both of our beautiful faces for that month. But I really like those, and we're going to strive to have just one fun, do all the questions in the chats reading with. It's going to mainly be tarot, but if one of us just feels fun and wants to bring an extra little thing on the side, like I brought the pendulum, then we can do that. But it's going to be mainly tarot. And then
yeah, I look forward to those lives. Those lives, I mean, I was really disappointed I couldn't participate in this last one, but Sarah did a great job. And you guys left really good feedback, and I did read all of the comments, so it was great.
Oh yeah, we read every single comment. Yeah, Carol said, "Oh, one of those are my comments." If you leave a comment somewhere, we're reading it. Like I guarantee you. Like, and I'm gonna be so for real. I'll probably respond to it while you're watching the live because I see when people start watching the lives and then I start commenting back to you like as if I'm doing the live with you. We hope you can catch the next one. So
Absolutely.
hopping into this live is going to be all about ways to connect to energies for readings. And it's basically going to be an in-depth breakdown of a tarot reading from like starting with the idea in your head, I want to do a reading, versus the end of the reading is done, I have given my feedback and I'm resonating it. Like we're taking you through the journey today. And like I said, it's going to be picking decks, shuffling cards, types of readings, pulling cards, and then completing the reading and everything in between. And then after we're done with that big chunk of just learning and sharing information, we're going to be ending with what our next partnership is. And this live is helpful even if you're not doing the partnership because it just gives you an overall flow of tarot reading traditionally and non-traditionally.
Yeah, this is the live that will, I guess, in a way, bring tarot as a whole. You've gotten the works of how to do reads in a general sense. Now it is your turn to learn them as a whole. Uh, my mom. So my question is, if someone doesn't connect with the person they are reading for, or the person who is getting the read doesn't connect with the reader, does that mess up the read? Does that does it make that read wrong for the person? I'm just asking.
We're going to talk about that question a lot later on, but to give like a quick answer, we're going to go into that like way later. But I'm going to give a quick answer and no, the reader is not wrong and the person getting the reading is not wrong. But we'll dive more into that later. So we'll fully address that when we get to that topic. But great question.
It is a really good question. I didn't know if you were going to answer if I was going to, so I
Yeah,
just
we were
stopped
both
for a
looking
second
at each other waiting for a second.
because I know it's down here in our notes.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to dive into ways of connecting to others. You're welcome, Ba. Ways of connecting to others and self. First of all, having personal confidence. I know a lot of times doubt overruns your brain, especially when it's new, it's scary, it's you're worried about everything and anything under the sun. I can promise you I understand where you're coming from. I felt that in not so much tarot but some of my other divinations. So it's an okay feeling. Some ideas to help you build your confidence. Uh, we compiled a list of what we felt would help you build your confidence here. Catherine, before I even go any further, I would like to also ask, what if you connect and are very uncomfortable with the person's energy? Sorry, I was away from my phone. Is this the new sign up? No. This is the live that will discuss the sign up
This sign
for
ups are
your
free.
answer, Carol.
Yeah,
Um,
this is for it. Do you want me to answer Catherine's or do you want to
you
answer?
can go ahead.
Okay, so if you're uncomfortable, okay, so there's two folds to this. So if you're just going to do a reading for someone and you go to connect to them and then you feel uncomfortable with their energy, sometimes it's just a sign to not do that reading for them because you're not required to do divination or give a reading to everyone, and there just might be a time where you just don't want to connect to that energy and you just feel like you shouldn't. So it's whether it's an uncomfortable, like, I don't need to do this, or it's just uncomfortable, as in, this is a reading I've never done before, so I'm a little out of my element and it's going to be hard. And you're going to have to trust your intuition and like your gut feeling of whether it's I need to challenge myself and do this reading, or I don't need to do this reading at all. And if it's just a challenging to do this reading, then we're going to give advice on that later. But if it's you don't want to do the reading at all, then you just need to find tactful and polite way to let them know that I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to complete this reading for you, and maybe just point them in a direction of something else, or don't even point them in a direction, just say you're sorry, you can't complete this reading for them. And if it's with our partnership and you don't feel connected to a partner, reach out to Cheyenne or me personally, and we'll just get you partnered with a new person. Because we partner randomly, but we do try to not partner people previously that have been partnered. But if there's not a lot of people, you'll just get a duplicate partner. But we try. But if you don't want to connect to someone, you can send it to us before you even get your name if you want. And if you get the name and you're like, I don't want to do this, you can tell us. If you even go to start the reading and you're like, I'm just not comfortable doing this, and the partnership has already started, still reach out to us. We will work it out. Everyone's comfortability is number one priority. And if you have anything you want to add, you can go ahead.
It hasn't happened in the program, but it has happened in a reading before. It was the actual person's energy, and I had no idea how to deal with it. I read it anyway, and it didn't go well. At that point, I think if that energy was really throwing you off, I personally don't do that read. If I am really thrown off by somebody's energy, whether I picked it up thinking it was okay, and then I went to go start it, or I was halfway through the read, or I just, thought about that read, I won't do it. I have had reads like that where that person's energy just didn't feel right in the in the best, that's the best way I can explain it. It just didn't feel right, and I knew that completing that read was not worth it. So just like Sarah said, you really gotta go off of your intuition. And if you second guess yourself, take a step back, give yourself a little bit of time, try to go at it again, and if it still feels the same way, at that point, I would say don't. If you can't go off of your intuitional standpoint or feeling.
Yeah, back to kind of what I had said, bouncing back off what Cheyenne said. It's like I think what I'm getting by this is your intuition told you not to do it, and then you made yourself do it anyways, and it didn't go well, and your intuition is right. And that's probably why it didn't go well. And then that would be a time where, like I said, even if you're halfway through, to be like, no, I can't do this. Let them know, hey, I can't do this, and don't complete it. And then I would cleanse yourself afterwards to remove that energy, cleanse whatever divination you were in the middle of using, and then remember to trust your intuition more next time. And if that doesn't answer your question all the way, you can totally type more. She said thank you. You're welcome.
You're welcome, Catherine. Back on to having personal confidence. We said affirmations. Affirmations are a great way. They inspire you. They're just little tools that can inspire you daily, as we've talked about in previous times. I don't even remember if I have any.
I didn't bring my example cards because I'm not currently at my location, and Cheyenne told me to remember everything, and I didn't even think about these, but that's fine. Don't get upset at me. But I have cuss word affirmation cards. There's words for a shitty day, and then I have another one that's like it just has a bunch of swear word affirmations.
I got that one.
Nice.
Know where the other one is, but that's an example.
We showed a lot in our last live too.
Yeah, that's a slight example of what I mean. Little affirmations. They're there to help build you up in some way, shape, or form.
Write it on your mirror with lipstick, or put it on a sticky note. Like,
it doesn't matter. I sticky notes.
Oh yeah.
Another thing, this is something I do personally, especially for my peoples at work. Inspirational and motivational daily quotes. And so for me, where I work, I have a team. I'm not like the head person of the team or anything, but I have a team. And in that team, we have a chat that we talk to each other every morning. We all say good morning to each other, and we check in on each other throughout the day. And Arabella Grace, stop yelling! I did warn y'all. I swear I did. I apologize. Anywho,
Mom life for a moment.
um, so I make it a point every morning to take a quote. I find one on Google. It doesn't matter what one. I just find one, and which I'll scroll through so many of them, and I'll find one that resonated with me for the day, and then I'll post it. And then I'll take that quote and I'll write it on a sticky note and place it at my desk at work.
I have a coffee can that's filled with a bunch of quotes in it. Actually, a pen pal made it for me. It was the sweetest thing ever. A whole thing of coffee can, like a coffee can. She wrote a bunch of quotes on it and put them in there. And so I pull one out and I'll read it and I'll put it in my journal if I'm journaling that day. And if it's just like a no energy day, I'll just read that quote. And just even just reading that quote to myself, that's enough.
And then we also said listening to uplifting / confidence boosting music. Think of that kind of music as well, yeah, as well as what you children. Let me start back up again. Listening to, when you're listening to your music, think about the music that makes you want to dance, the stuff that makes you upbeat and happy and ready to move for the day. That's the type of music that I'm talking about. Like me personally, I will either go towards a type of music that has that's in a language that I don't even know, just because I really love how they made their songs. Or I could go as far as my favorite, going to rock music. I'm a hairband person, 80s, 90s, I love it. 70s, even 70s. There's some 70s songs in there too. Um, so
If you hear a rooster in the background randomly, my sincerest apologies.
a rooster is less annoying than a child.
Oh, well, I just wanted to say it. So if there's just random rooster noises, they're like outside the window. That's why.
Another thing, you can listen to inspiring speeches and podcasts. I can. I know we are in that era where there's a podcast for everything.
Oh yeah.
Are you a Linkin Park fan? I could yes, actually. I'm sad about how they replaced him with a female singer. So there's
I
that.
think I have an old concert Linkin Park T-shirt that I wore in one of my lives. Like, I don't know when it was, but I'm pretty sure I wore one in one of my lives.
It's never gonna be the same without Chester
No,
Bennington.
it's not.
Another thing, pamper yourself. Get ready for no reason. Say you're not doing absolutely anything but lounging around the house all day. I wish. But instead of lounging around in your lounge clothing, put on that cute outfit that you've been putting off wearing for like ever. Or put on that makeup that you were hoping to put on, but you just don't feel right putting that on when you leave your house.
I'm gonna answer your question, Beth, but not right now. I will answer it when we get there. I promise.
You know, I heard that too, Roxanne. I did. I actually did. I'm just not a fan of the fact that they chose a woman. Another thing that you can do, being outside, meditating and grounding. Meditating and grounding is a huge, huge thing throughout any type of your practice, I feel. I feel like it's a huge thing because that's where you are able to center yourself and balance yourself to the core. Being outside, you're connecting to the earth. You're connecting to the universe. You're able to take in a breath of fresh air. And I feel like that could help bring your confidence too, because you're washing out that negative energy from you too, if you think about
for
it.
joining us for a little bit, and also thank you for saying that we make a great team.
I missed that comment.
Ronnie said that she had to go to work, and then she said that we made a great team, and she said don't apologize for kids being kids. And then Billy Joe and Roxanne, I wanted to say this, with the getting dressed up for no reason and stuff like that, if you're doing divination, you're trying to connect to someone and you're just not feeling yourself, that would be another time to maybe try to dress up. Put something that makes you feel good on, and then try to do your reading. Even if you're connecting to yourself or another person, that could just help you feel better rather than just being in your pajamas. Or in your pajamas with lipstick, that can make you feel good too.
And thank you, Ronnie. I just wanted to also give you my thanks while I was at it. The next part of this I want to get into is reading for yourself and connecting to yourself. You can do this in many different ways. Stare at yourself in a mirror and do your read. Maybe you need to physically see yourself like I'm seeing myself on the screen. You can use items that represent you. Like, I know when I do reads for myself, I'm always here at my altar, and it has everything that represents me here for me. Like, my favorite stone, obsidian. I'm obsessed. If you ever get me as a pen pal, obsidian's my favorite.
No. Noted.
Have obsidian in this too. So, like, you can have things that represent you. And that's why we're going over this. Marcy, that is exactly why we are going over this. Because sometimes, yeah, you might not be able to connect to yourself for your own read. And that goes into blocking yourself from yourself, if that makes sense. And that's why there's ways to help you connect yourself. Call upon your inner self when you're doing your reads. Meditate beforehand. Maybe you need to have a nice long or short meditation session before you even touch your cards and start going into your read. Listen to your
inner. Hold on, I want to say this real quick. Meditating with your inner self does not have to be sitting down listening to a thing. Meditating with your inner self could be I'm eating this piece of cheesecake and I'm connecting with how I feel. It does not have to be anything serious. You can put on a TV show you like, it all snugly in your bed, have your pajamas on, and just feel how you feel. Meditating does not have to be anything fancy. It could be doing your makeup and you're just feeling yourself. It's just the connecting with your inner self part. But meditating can also be guided and stuff like that. I just wanted to say that after you said that.
No, you're good. Another thing that you can do is listen to your favorite music and songs. I know I've talked about it up there, but again, another great way to connect to yourself and really feel how you're feeling. I don't know about you guys, but I know when I'm listening to my favorite music, it goes by what my mood is and how I'm feeling. I listen to a lot of angry songs to pour out that anger. So don't think that you have to listen to the most hoppity happy music. I need to be happy. No, like, let your rage out. Let your sadness out. Let that pour through your music. I know that's exactly how I deal with my feelings, is by listening to music that resonates with me at that moment.
Thank you for sharing how you connect to yourself, Catherine. We appreciate that because it could give someone else an idea too, and it's a nice way to get to know each other a little.
I just finished reading it. That's awesome, Catherine. Thank you.
And Carol, we definitely understand with struggling emotionally and stuff like that. And that's why we wanted to talk about not only reading for other people, but reading with yourself and just trying to help yourself connect with yourself. Because it's a problem that a lot of people go through, but it feels very isolating.
Death metal, absolutely. Billy Joe. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, my fiance is the same way. He knows exactly what kind of mood I'm in when he hops in my car and hears what I'm listening to. And if it's completely radio silent, he knows that I just don't want to be talked to at all. I want to deal with nothing. I just want to be completely here. Another thing you can do is use sensory specific connections. What I mean by that, things that go by your senses: touch, taste, smell, sight. Am I? Yep, thank you. Hearing.
I was silently trying to give you the answer as if nobody could see me doing that. That's okay. For using sensory things, I'm a big fidget toy person, like 1,000%. I literally have a bucket of fidget toys in my living room because I'm a fiddler. People can probably tell that during my live. Well, I wish I could play the actual fiddle, but can't do that. But you can smell certain things. Like I have a deck of tarot cards that smell like pineapple, and if I smell that smell, like I'm in the mood to do tarot. Or you could, for sound, you could play different things, stuff like that. Connecting to your senses.
I don't think I have any sound devices other than when I play my meditation music.
I have a bell, and I have wind chimes, and I have a sound bowl. I couldn't remember what it was. I don't have my beautiful background, so I can't wheel my chair back there and grab my stuff. So I have to just remember.
Another thing that you should do is find your space physically, mentally, and spiritually. It can be anywhere. Anywhere. Literally. Maybe for you, it is sitting in the middle of a dark room in your house with candles on, has your only light, and you're just feeling who you are and how you're feeling that day. Bella, stop yelling.
If you don't move your mouth, we don't know.
Anyway, maybe it's outside. Maybe it's at your altar. It can be anywhere. Find that space that helps you connect and feel at home, and how you're just calm and not overwhelmed.
Don't feel overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed. And a place that it doesn't have to be like Cheyenne was mentioning different places it could be. Let's say that you don't have a place, a single place in the world that you can go to. And that it does suck, but that is a reality for some people. And then you can have a space that you go to mentally. And it could be a place that you imagine, not to plug my own live, but my world building live is exactly what that's talking about. It's like I created a safe room and everybody has their own because it's your own space. But you can have a mental space. You could go to Hogwarts inside of your brain, and that could be your mental space. That's your safe space. I got you. I knew. So you could do that. If you don't have an actual space, you could create your own mental space, and then you can sort of check out of wherever you are physically and go there mentally and allow yourself to have that space.
And then you can also ask the divine to help you build a stronger connection. Not to say anything more, but if you guys ever go back to my old live, I did a higher self oil and cell that helps you really connect to your higher self, and it will also help your connection with the divine, because sometimes you have to go through the divine to get to your higher self because you're blocking something. So sometimes you need different tools to help you get there. That is why we're here to talk about these different things of what you can do.
We keep talking about our higher self. This is a tarot live, so I'm gonna hold up the High Priestess card because I feel like that is applicable as frick. So there we go. I had to plug in a tarot moment for that. And sort of to wrap up the advice and tips for connecting with reading to yourself, one big problem I know I have dealt with, and I know probably a lot of people have, is you have to be honest with yourself when you're doing a reading. And I'm going to say this with two parts. First off, when you pull the cards that you pull are the cards that you get. If you start shoving them back in the deck and demanding different cards, you're either one, gonna keep getting the same cards and then your tarot deck's gonna be pissed, or two, you're gonna just muddle up your reading because your intentions aren't going to be for an honest reading. Your intentions are going to be tell me what I want to hear, and so you're just gonna get what you want to hear and it's not gonna be accurate. Twofold to that, the cards that you draw, what the cards say you have to go with. You can't be like, nah, I don't like that, and then create your own meaning for the card, or be like, nah, I don't like any of that, and only pick out one tiny sentence that the tarot reading says. You have to honestly allow yourself to go with what you feel. And maybe you are not at the point that you can do that. And if you can't separate what you want from what it's telling you, that's when you know you need to ground and you need to connect. And if you really are trying all that you can and it's not working, that's when you need to reach out to the divine to connect to your higher self and really pull it in, because you have to be able to separate what you want versus what's actually like being told to you. And it's perfectly fine to have high wishes and really, really want something, but you've got to be able to hear that clear message as well.
That's perfect.
Nice.
I love how you said that.
Thank you. I was trying to like bundle that. Let me catch up these comments.
Catherine said, "What happens when you pull a card and it just doesn't feel right for that moment, like an emotional response that it doesn't fit. I do that sometimes and struggle connecting it."
Okay, so if you're reading for another person, then you need to keep, then I would say that you're not going to know exactly how it feels, so it could not feel right, and I would still go with it. And then when you're reading with yourself, I would say that you need to still keep the card and write it down, because maybe it doesn't connect to you or feel right now, but it could later. And but to still acknowledge your feelings, you can then take a moment, cleanse, separate yourself from that reading, do a different one, and redirect what you're asking if it just didn't feel like it settled. But I would still document that original pull because you did pull it.
Very well said. No, I was gonna say that too. You always want to still document what you pull, because I can say it personally. I've had a card pull for myself the one day, and it just did not resonate. And then literally like 6 months later, that card popped up, and I was like, "Hey, I know why now." So it's something that you should always at least document. You don't have to give it a big documentation either. Just what it was when you pulled it, and it didn't resonate at that point.
Yeah, it can be real quick. And for what Billy Joe said, we're going to talk about that later on as well. But I'm a cards falling out person for sure.
Same.
So hopping into reading for others. Oh, by the way, Ellen said you had to catch the replay. So bye, Ellen, if you're already gone. Hello, Ellen, in the replay. And then so hopping into reading for other people and connecting to other people. So we're going to talk some that will be sort of only for in-person, some that's sort of only for on video, and then you can use them together. So you can separate that at your own discretion. I'm sure y'all are very smart. So you could use a photo of that person or look at them. Actually being able to see that person rather than just trying to see them in your third eye or your mind's eye, but being able to actually physically see them really helps a lot of people to connect. Or maybe you're more of an audio person, you could play an audio of this person talking, and that could also help you connect if you're more of an audio rather than visual. Having specific items to represent that person. Like if you know specific things that if they like you could use the like the basic meme. Like what are you gonna throw together to conjure up this person? So for Cheyenne, I'm gonna grab some Harry Potter stuff. You know what I mean? So that could help me connect to her. So maybe I'll have something Harry Potter. Maybe I'll have something Obsidian. You know what I mean? I'll just start pulling things together, and that could help me connect to her. Listening to someone's favorite song or music. So even if it's not their favorite song, like let's say that you have a song and that just really makes you think of that person, you could listen to that. Or if you don't know that person, it could be a song that they're telling that they recommend you to listen to because that's probably how they're feeling right then. Even if it's not their favorite song, if they recommend that song, then there's probably like a way for you to connect because they're thinking about it. You could also ask the divine for help if you need a stronger connection. Sometimes you might not be able to do it on your own. You might need to reach out to something higher to help that. You could meditate on your person's energy before the reading and during the reading. And then you could also, and this is not for everybody, I know a lot of people don't like doing that. Doing this, I personally do sometimes. You can allow someone else to shuffle the deck for you, or you can allow them to pull certain cards.
I've done it with a handful of people. It depends on the person for me.
Yeah. If you want to add anything, I'm done with that part.
I know like when it comes to physical items that represent that person, I do that a lot. Maybe it's just something that I felt represented them or something that I've noticed that they really like. Like for Ellen, I did something more on the astrological side when I did her read. I had something that represented astrology to connect with her because I knew that she was really big into astrology. And that was one of her things that she knows a lot about and she really connects to. So it doesn't have to be just, rock. Maybe it's a squishy. Because Sarah's usually the one that does all of the show and tell, so I'll just show and tell rando things.
Haha, I'll show and tell too. It could be a stuffed animal. See, I joined. It could be an emoticon. Crazy, I'm joining in now.
It could be as easy as a feather.
Nice.
Which I got a new feather.
You should have said as light as a feather. That would have been punny.
It could even be a book, like just a regular book off your bookshelf.
The
You
book
just
that
happen
I
to
have
see
right
it.
now is not cute. I'm using this as a mouse pad. This is a horrible example. This is a driver's manual. But I don't. Everything else is not within reach, and I don't want to get it.
Okay, I got something that's a little less creepy.
There we go. I was about to say, my book, not a good example.
I'm in the middle of reading one too many books at a time.
I have a lot of books, but they're not anywhere near me.
So, like, it can be literally anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be, oh, I know they connect with this, or I know that. It could just be your feeling.
Yeah. You could
Your
also go simple.
intuitional.
You could go element. If you don't know anything about this person, you could just simply go something pretty basic like that. You could just put some clear quartz next to you. You could go real simple if you don't know this person.
Or if you're a candle person, white candle.
Yeah, there you go.
If you're an herb person, rosemary. Just figured. I threw it over.
No, those were good. Those were good. That's why I pointed at you. I was like, that was good. I didn't think about that.
There's different types of water too. You can use that as well. I want to go into another type of readings that you can do is readings for your for ancestors, deities, spirit guides, animal spirits, and entities. I know that was a mouthful. What is that? That's going to be everybody's everybody's question. I already see that coming, so let me answer that. That is you connecting to your ancestor or your person's ancestor, or you are just trying to explore in the astral plane of existence in the spiritual realm. You just want to connect to somebody to get answers to questions that you are not getting or you aren't understanding, and they can bring forth messages from that realm that can help you in some way. Do you want to
Yeah, I'll add something in there.
add
So
that?
yeah, so what this is about to be is different ways to connect when you're doing those readings. Like Cheyenne said, with ancestors, it doesn't even she mentioned it could be for someone else and their ancestors, but it could just be for you and yours, like she said, reaching out to your specific deities, reaching out to deities that you want to work with, reaching out to see if any deities are calling to you. If you're getting any messages, it could be an open-ended. Same thing with reaching out to your spirit guides, or maybe feeling like a spirit guide is calling to you. Same thing with animal spirits. You could be trying to connect generally to like a general, not specific spirit, but the like spirit of and like energy of an overall type of animal, or it could be connecting to a specific animal spirit. And then with spirits and entities, it could be just think of like when you're just doing divination to see what's there. Like, are there any spirits in this location? Are there any entities in this location? This is where you're gonna obviously want to be careful. If you're just reaching out, you know what I mean, to anything and everything, calling out, you might want to be a little protected. Do things smartly.
Cleanse your space, and maybe even do a salt ring. There's always before you reach out to anything that's past a certain realm, you should always take the precautions of protection. And if that is your blanket, that looked really comfortable.
And then I put this cute blanket over this because it was like kind of like spooky vibes. I was like, that's cute. I was trying to make like an area.
It's
So
cute.
thank you.
Just
Um,
always play it safe. Protection. Protect
yes.
yourself. Have it anywhere and everywhere, and maybe you should do it outside rather than indoors if you don't want that to come in and you don't want to risk that.
You could do it in a public like park or a public space, even if you don't want to do it in your space. This is also not for everyone, but this is something that I personally enjoy doing. I like going to very old historical and or places of certain like wars or battles or where I know there's going to be like heavy activity. I like going to graveyards, cemeteries, and things like that, and I will pull cards. I'll sit next to certain people's spaces, or I'll just reach out openly and I'll pull cards and I'll get messages and stuff like that. Again, that's not for everybody, but that's something that I like doing to practice my reading. And then,
I like doing it in Gettysburg.
oh yeah. And then what Carol said is Samhain is a great time to connect to ancestors. And that, yeah, because the veil is thinning and you can reach that other side easy.
Which is New Year. Is right
Oh,
around
yeah.
the corner. Um, so I'm gonna go into what you can use to connect with each of these things that I had mentioned. So ancestors, you can use pictures, memorabilia. Gosh, I can't speak. Remains, like if they got cremated and you have some of their cremated remains, you can use that. Specific locations, places that resonate to you about your ancestor, like this connects to you here, so I'm gonna go here. Colors and or songs or music. um then when you go into deities, same thing. Pictures, statues, incense, herbs, crystals, etc. I can actually use a really good example. For me, my Freya statue, I connect with her. I wish I had a statue of health too,
I
because
wish I had my statue. Insert my my statue right here.
And because I have her, I also keep a rose quartz nearby because it is somebody she is one of my main deities, her and Hell. They don't always coincide with each other, but they're my main deities. Ugh, sorry, I'm getting old. Some other when you go into the animal spirits, you can have pictures, specific locations, physical items, bones, fur, remains, teeth, anything in the taxidermy aspect, etc. Colors, statues, etc. I actually have that too if you want to get technical here. This was actually sent to me, I think, during one of our, I think it was during the Yulix card exchange.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna actually get up to grab something.
I keep that on my altar, to help connect to animal spirits and pull
This
them
is
to their
um
energy.
this is from a chicken, from a rooster specifically. They're I'm forgetting what it's called now.
Their talent
It's not their dew.
thing.
Yes, because it's not a dew claw, because dew claw is for dogs. This is their talon thing that roosters use to frick up other animals. But anyways, you could use these, connect to a spirit like that. I had to get up for that example. That was too good to not.
I have other animal stuff. It's just upstairs, and I'm not running for it. I'm not.
Yeah, that was like
I have,
right there,
one.
so I figured I would do it.
I have one other one.
Right now.
You guys have seen this in previous lives, but this is my bat skull.
Nice.
Bats are the cutest little adorable animal
Yeah.
ever. They're the flying dog. And then when you go to, you can, and like I said, colors, statues, anything you can think of that represents an animal. Your spirit guides or spirit guides in general, incense, herbs, crystals, other forms of divination, and a neutral location. I say a neutral location because sometimes it is best for you to find the spot that is 110% balanced, because they will only be clear to you if you are 110% zoned and ready and open to listen to those messages. Um, Other forms of divination we've talked about before: pendulums, Ouija boards, bone throwing, dice, other cards, so on and so forth. Um, Spirits, this is where you should go to specific locations. You can use different scents, uh, other forms of divination, incense, herbs, crystals, so on and so forth. Um, entities. I always say that weird.
Mhm.
Um, Herbs, specific locations. Again, another one that you should probably not do in your house. It's probably best to do it outside, and that way, like, woo, gotta go.
And if you decide to do it in your house, you need to be prepared for
The possibility.
anything that may come from that, because you brought it into your space. So you be aware of where you choose to bring things to.
Yes. Um, have protection amulets. I've went into detail on that, but protection amulets, incense, other forms of divination, and so on and so forth. Whatever you can think of. Um, Now we are moving forward, and we're going to talk about picking what deck to use, how to know if you connect or if you are being called to a specific deck. First, I want to pinpoint one thing: a deck does not need to be gifted to you. Yes, I will say, in the olden days, that is how traditionally tarot readers got their cards. It got passed down from the seer of the tribe to the next seer of the that's coming in to take their position, and so on and so forth down the line.
Because that would
That-
also be when grimoires and Books of Shadows and other things like that, those were all passed. And they can still be passed. Now it's not a requirement because it's a lot more open and accessible. So it doesn't have to be done that way.
So how do you know if you're being called or connected to one? Me, I got a feeling. I got like how do you describe the feeling?
Like a magnet.
Yeah, electrifying.
You can
It's
feel
a
it.
sensation of yeah, I go with my senses. So it's an electrifying sensation. It's almost like a second piece of you. Like you're feeling a piece of you splitting to it. Like it knows you. You can how do you
That is exactly what we were talking about, by the way, Billy Joe, is being aware of your location and knowing whether or not you should even do that. And if you have other people living with you that are not going to be protected, or children, or animals, or anything like that, you have to be aware of that. And so kudos on you for making those smart decisions and not doing things like that.
absolutely. I'm trying to think. It's kind of like Clifford the big red dog knowing that he was a big red dog,
It's Pooh Bear liking honey.
and
He just
Piglet
knows.
being his best friend.
Yeah, and so if you are being called to a deck, like let's say you don't have a deck, if you can't stop thinking about a deck, if you see it, and then I've done this before, not with a deck, but with other witchy items, with my bell specifically, I saw it, I was like, that's super cute, I don't need to spend any money. And I walked my booty right out of the thrift store, I got in my car, and I said, heck no, I need it, and I ran back into the thrift store, and I bought it. So, like, that's being called to something. You'll
That was me
just
with this.
know. Nice. You'll just know. You'll think about it a lot. You'll just be feeling it. And if you have to ask somebody, am I being called to this? You're reaching out, asking if you're being called to it, you're being called to it. Like it's already on your mind, so much so to where you're asking, you just answered your own question. You are definitely. And then if you already have a deck,
And that goes on to the next thing.
yeah.
If you have a deck, which deck, if you have multiple, do you use for your reading? Me, personally, I have one, two, three tarot decks now. One, two, three, four oracle decks now. When it comes to what deck I use for my reading, it is all intuitionally based. Intuitionally based. Prime example, I did 2 readings last week, used 2 totally different decks for each read. My first read, I used my metaphysical cannabis deck, which I know you all love to see, so, I'll just pull out the box one more time. I used this deck to do my first read. Um, and then for my second read, you guys haven't seen this yet. This is one of my new ones. I used this deck.
Nice. I got
Um,
gifted this one, so woohoo! Cheyenne has this one, but now I can show more than one. And then I have one more, and it's just my OG, like not decorative at all, just basic Vader White
here,
cards. But
hey, here's another new one.
nice. You're like, look at this. It's
Um,
very cute.
and then so like I go off of my intuition. Or depending on what I'm doing the read for, I will use a specific deck, and I actually have a perfect example for that one this time around. I've been waiting for these cards, and I finally ordered them for myself because I splurged.
Nice.
Past life oracle cards.
Ooh, there you go.
I do a lot of past life readings. And when I do my past life readings, I usually go for my metaphysical cannabis deck. I will not lie to you because I feel like that gives the best
You do a
insight.
great job with those, with past life readings.
Oh yeah, thank you. I really
welcome.
appreciate that. That is like
Two big
like
thumbs up.
awesome. But I wanted to try something different. I wanted to see if I could dive into other insights with a little bit more of help. I don't think I will use this as a full deck. I think it's going to be one of those as a maybe I need a pool and kind of just get a little bit of insight kind of thing. But some people have decks for specifically for love and relationship reads. Some people have decks that are specifically for career reads. It really depends on how many decks you have and what kind of person you are. So I go off of my intuition when it comes to what deck to use.
I'm not trying to be moving around all over the world. I'm just plugging in my phone. But
You're good. I'm thinking about food.
you're good. I will say this because I was thinking it. If I do a healing reading, then I use this deck. It doesn't even have to be like a think about it with intuition. If I have a healing reading, I'm using that deck. And it's just because out of the decks I have available, that is the deck to use with a healing reading. It just connects so much more. And then, like I said, I have the original Raider White deck, and then I have this one, but this is still just OG deck, but it's a little prettier. So this is what I use if I have a healing reading specifically. And I don't usually do career readings, but I will do them for myself. And then I don't use these. I use my just blank OG Raider White deck for when I have a career reading. I don't have to think about that one either. Okay. And then going into okay, so this is something that we wanted to mention from our past live and going into future lives, where we've been adding in other forms of divination to our readings. And so there is knowing whether or not it's even time to add in another divination is important, because not every time you do a tarot reading do you need to add in another divination, or not every time you add in another divination do you need to do a lot of it. Sometimes if you have a reading and you just feel super in tune and you choose to go pairing a tarot card with an oracle or with an affirmation or anything, and you want to go each card to each card, that is fine, but it could become very discombobulated and very overcrowded and overwhelming if you don't have a lot of experience with this. So if you're trying to tie in other forms of divination, it is wildly recommended to start with a lower amount of cards and work up, because then you can smoother transition the divinations together. And then also sometimes you might not need to. Like for instance, if I was doing a yes or no card reading, that would be a time I would probably use my pendulum as well, because it just makes sense as a double confirmation. But if I'm doing a healing reading, I'm not going to want to pull my pendulum into it because it doesn't really make any sense to do that. So knowing when to include additional divination is important, and making sure that you don't overcrowd your reading is also important. Transitioning from that, we're going to move into we're going to talk about moving into different shuffling styles before you start your reading. So if I have this deck of cards, which I've done many readings with, these are these ones, then I'm going to need to clear out this energy. So if I'm going to do a read for Cheyenne, then before I do the reading, I'm going to need to shuffle these cards, one, so they're not in the same order as the last time I did the reading, and I'm going to need to clear out the the chats for you, and I'm going to clear out the past energy.
No proof.
I'm going to clear out any past energy from the reading. And so first, I'm going to go over different ways to clear out that energy. You could use the elements. I'm not going to go into super detail because then we'll be here all day. But elemental cleansing, you can cleanse with a salt bowl. You could do sun and moon cleansing. You could do smoke cleansing. I've already done it like 3 times since I've been holding it. You can knock on your deck. I actually do that before I do any reading. I'll knock on my deck. You can do sound cleansing with words, chanting. You can yell at them. Hey, be clean, biatch. You could do that. Whatever works for you. Like, it don't matter. You could use a bell. You could use sound bowls. Selenite grid. I don't have my example here, but that's what I use for most. If I'm being a lazy cleaner, boop, in the selenite grid, that's where it goes. Not even just my tarot cards. If I bring anything into my witchy space, boop, right into that selenite grid before I do anything else with it. You could also place your deck on a clear crystal, or you could place the crystal on top of your deck, depending on what your crystal is. Have you ever had the pendulum take on its own power, I guess, like really strong? Yes, that's a very connected reading. That means you have a strong answer. That's good. That is what you want to happen. If you're holding completely still and that pendulum starts taking off in that direction, you know that you've gotten your answer. I use incense and crystals and tapping. Those are other good methods. So continuing on the shuffling before reading.
Simply mixing up the cards, diving into multiple piles and combining, toss and mix. Use the table mix up in a big pile, meaning you just throw your cards into a big pile, mix them all up, and then put them all back together into your deck. You can use a card shuffler that I didn't know existed. I will not lie.
I don't have the example with me, but it's a machine. You put the cards into 2 sacks. You literally, all you do is hold the button down. The cards go whoop, boom, into a pile. So if you have arthritis or something and you can't really be shuffling cards a lot, you could use that. Because that's not the part where you need to put in your intuition. That's just you need to mix up the deck. So you could do that for that.
And another thing is traditional shuffle and bridges. I can do them sometimes. I'm on. I don't have any table space
By
at
the
the
way,
moment
Billy
to
Joe,
do
if
it.
you want to reach out to me, not during this live, we can talk more about it because that's more just pendulum reading, but we can talk about that if you totally want to. I wanted you to know I did read your comment. But we have been live for a while and I do just want to be here all evening, so we got to try to stay on topic.
Yeah, I'm right there with Sarah. And then that goes into our reading style types.
Okay, so real quickly, we're going to just go over reading traditional versus non-traditional. So for a traditional reading, you could think of this as using a pre-made spread that you found somewhere or was given to you, using not referencing the book, but only using the book could be a style of traditional reading, just going based off of that. Having a specific card limit based on like previous information, like being like, oh, if I do a healing reading, it has to be 5 cards because of this spread or something. Being limited in that way is like a more traditional reading.
I also want to add in there, don't forget, there's websites as well. A lot of people do tend to go to the websites.
And apps.
And apps. Yeah, there's apps for that too. And then non-traditional is a no card limit. It's a self-set limit. You set it as you're doing your read. Fully intuitional and open-ended questions, or a set question without a set answer layout. Or you could even have a personally designed spread for that reading. Like you personally designed it, not you went and grabbed that design, you put it in front of you, and you decided to use that exactly to the T. It's something you created.
Other things to give you ideas, but it's making one yourself.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to read a not all-encompassing, by all means. There are many other types we did not list, but I'm going to list a big old list of different types of readings that exist that you would probably think about doing. Yes or no readings, general readings, spiritual, healing, aura, personal energy or inner child readings, love or intimacy readings, relationships, platonical or non, conflict readings, family readings, career readings, past life readings, life path of the soul, connecting to personal or other people's ancestors, connecting to deities, connecting to spirit guides or animal spirits, or connecting to spirits or entities in general. And that, like I said, is not an all encompassing list, but it's just a brief example of different types of readings that are out there.
And I just want to go into a little bit about spreads. Like I said, spreads can be pre-made spreads. You can find tons and tons and tons of them on Pinterest. You can find tons and tons of them if you just Google search them. They are everywhere. Some, even with most tarot decks that come with a book, they tend to have some kind of spread in the back of the book for that deck as well. I also know that with about Oracle cards as well. They do them with those. And then you can also use personally and made spreads. However you, yeah, perfect example. You can also use, as we said, personally made spreads. I'm gonna keep jumping down because we can't really go too much into that. Choosing a reading style to use. Trust your intuition and allow yourself to feel it out. Maybe non-traditional is not calling to you this time at this very moment, right this second, but you're doing a read, so you might feel the traditional way is the better way to go. That's okay too. Or maybe you need to combine the two of them together. That's okay too. Trust your intuition. Allow the cards to tell you as well. The cards will let you know. I know for me and Sarah, we are one and the same with this. We do the whole let your cards just fall.
Yeah.
So that to us, our cards are telling us exactly how we're doing it. This is how they need to be read. This is how they are falling out. This is how they need to go. Connect to focus to the focus of the reading to see what feels right, and scout out traditional traditional spreads. Like I said, I gave you guys examples up there. Again, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Moving on to setting up to read. You can do this two different ways. You can do a ceremonial reading, personally designed or followed one. Find and cleanse your sacred space. Set up candles, incense, crystals, and cloth, possibly sound bowls, bells, and other ceremonial items, such as an athame as well. That's one that's big and used, as well as a wand. Having physical representations, lay out your cards on the cloth, do a ritual to set mood, energy, and connect, personal or pre-made. And then you could also do a casual reading. Lay out the physical items you are using to connect with the energy, maybe none. Put on music, TV show, movie, any sensory additions, or none. Or don't forget to set the mood / energy of your area, physically and mentally, and then readings can be completed anywhere.
Okay, so different ways to pull cards and doing readings is shuffling with intention and fully immersing yourself and connecting to that energy. So what I mean by this is, so when you are getting ready to pull your cards, allowing yourself to not be distracted. And some people can listen to music and not be distracted, while others it can be very distracting. So it's getting yourself into that space and that mindset of I'm pulling the cards. Like if you're in the middle of an argument with a person, that's not the time to pull the cards because you're not going to be able to fully sit down and connect. If you're like, holy shit, I'm in a rush, I have like 80 different things to do, that's not the time to do the reading because you're not going to be fully focusing on it. Okay, so now when you're shuffling with intention, so if I'm shuffling with intention, let me sit up here. You can see what this looks like. If I'm shuffling with intention, it is like this. And now this might not be so beautiful because I'm holding them like awkwardly high. See how one just flew out? That one that just flew out, how it flew out, I would take note of. How long it took to fly out of the deck. Like if I was shuffling for ages, Or if it just pinged out within a second, I would note that. The position that it fell in, I would pay attention to that. And I only said that right then because one launched out. But this is when I'm shuffling and I'm connecting. This is when I'm going to start tapping on my cards or knocking on my deck. This is going to be when I am paying attention and meditating with the cards as they flow through my hands. I'm feeling the energy from me like I'm immersing it into my deck. Something that I will also do right before I start reading, before I do the actual shuffle, is, let me use this. Pretend this is my table. I would lay my cards out like this all the way across the table and feel my hands across them. And then I'd stack them back up. And then I'd have them on the table, and then I'd knock on them. And then I'd pick them up after I knocked, and then I'm going to town with my shuffling. So when I'm doing my actual shuffling action, there are obviously multiple ways you can do this, but the main two I see are the toss, like this, and then actually shuffling, which I'm not going to do because I don't actually shuffle these cards, and I don't have one. But the and then like bridging, actual shuffling your cards. That's another way people do them. Okay, so going farther into it.
Moving on to pulling of the cards. There is several different ways. These are the ways that I have seen. Allowing the call. Okay, take a step back. Allowing the cards to fall out while shuffling. Picking from the top of the deck. Spread out in front and intuitively pick. Combine styles of pulling based on counting. Setting it into 3 different piles. Setting it into multiple different piles. There's many different ways that you can pull your cards. Me, I like to let them just fall out of the deck. That to me is the universe telling me, hey, that's the one. And my intuition has been pretty on point with it. So, moving on. I've already talked about every single one of these topics.
I was thinking something. Okay, so the point that I wanted to say that I was keeping in my head, and that's why I wasn't reading, was that when you're doing that and you're letting the cards fall out, knowing when to stop. This is something that a lot of people ask. You can note when to stop. Like, let's say you've just been flipping the cards and it's been like a minute and just nothing is falling out. I would take that as a sign that I probably got enough cards because none are just falling out. But then if you're shuffling and you're like, no, like this message is not done, I need another one, I will shuffle a little more intensely to get another one. But usually that's just all intuitively based of knowing when to stop letting them fall out. And then so hopping down into understanding your card pools and understanding the message. So when you have your cards and you are trying to work out this interpretation, let me grab a couple cards to use this for example. So I have 2 cards I just grabbed off the top of the deck. So we have Ace of Wands and we have King of Swords. So the first thing I would do is when I pull the cards, let's say I had them both upside down, I flip them over. I'm going to take my first interpretation of the message. So what is the first thing that I think of when I see these cards? Before you look at the book, before you be like, what does the Ace of Wands mean that I remember that it means, or go looking for it. I'm going to get my first impressions. And then I'm going to also look at how they fell out. Did they fall out reversed? Did they fall out horizontal? Are they diagonal? Stuff like that. I'm going to look into how they fell, and I'm going to take note of that. And then after looking at that as a whole, then I'm going to hop into the cards as individuals. So I'll start with the first one. And so looking at the card, what I'll do is I'll look at the imagery overall. I will look at the colors. I will look at any astrological correspondences, any element correspondences. And so with elements, I don't mean it doesn't have to be literally. So this you could represent, okay, this is fire. But you could also be like, I see these blue streaks and that's giving me water. And not even think of fire.
That's what I was thinking too.
Nice. You could do that. Or you could be like, okay, well, to me, this is your water side and your fire side. They're battling for this balance. Like, it does not have to be literally. It could be just what you're feeling. And then also you could look at major versus minor arcana cards because they can play different roles, and then also looking at the numerology of the card, like what number the card is. Because if you do a reading, let's say you get 4 cards that are in 8, I would probably really take that into consideration. Or if you got a card and it was like 2, 6, 2, 6, and it's like a pattern, just things like that. Just looking at it, if it feels like it could be important, it could probably be important. And then also looking at their traditional meaning, they come with either booklets or just pamphlets, or you can look at a website, an app, or anything, but the traditional meanings of the cards, the order in which that they fell out. So I'm going to go traditional and non-traditional. Some people are super strict, and the order it fell out is the order in which you have to read it. Some people will look at all the individual cards and be like, no, the order that it fell out is not the way in which I need to read this. For it to make sense, I need to read it like this, and that's okay. It's keeping the original message, not creating a new one, but just understanding how it flows. Or it could also be, let's say I drew cards, and then all 3 of these just fell out on a stack next to each other. Ow. And then I don't know like what order that they're in because they're all weird. Then you could be like, and just play these in whatever order you feel is necessary. So it doesn't have to be the exact order, but it can be. And like I said, the direction of which it's facing, and it fell out. If you ever get a reading from me, I will very detailedly tell you the position in which the card is in, because that is how I do my readings. Some people only do upright readings, and that is fine. Some people include reverse, and that is fine. Some people do not include horizontal, or do. That's fine. Same thing with any other position, and that's okay. But I use that super much to depend on how these readings are going. Like if it's horizontal, like that is going to be a basis for your reading. I was about to read that too. So if you want to read that and then answer it, that's awesome.
What's your opinion?
I'm going to finish this up while you read that. So combining each card to create a story or a message. So take the 2 cards. Let me grab the 2 cards I had. So I have the individual meaning from both of them. Now I'm going to need to, like I said, get the order in which it flows. It could be the natural order that it fell. Now I need to combine them to make a message. So I'm going to take what this card is individually saying and see how it connects to this one. Are these 2 things that are happening at the same time? Is it a cause and effect? Is it something that's going to happen in order? This is something where you have to very closely pay attention to the meaning of each card and see how they go together. So that way, when you put together your reading, you can tell. Are there repeating messages? Are both of these cards saying the exact same thing in a different way? If so, maybe it's not a story or something you're working through. Maybe it's a super direct message you're getting. And the reason you're doing this is so that way when you deliver the message, it makes the most sense. If you want to add any commentary, and we can also answer that out loud if you want. I get some.
Oh, yeah, that works. Billy and Joe said, I get so intrigued when, say, after 20 looks at a card later, you notice when images are that are part of the artwork. What's your opinion on that? Just curious, as sometimes I feel it is for the person I am reading for, and other times if it does not connect in my reading, I feel it was meant as a sign for myself, I suppose, either work. Yes, in that mindset, I agree. I go, again, it's all intuitionally based to me. If you're doing your read, you get done with your read, but you've looked at those cards and you're just really, really staring intently and you got something else and you feel that it's for that person, I personally would put that, give that message away. Even like if you already sent it or whatever, I would personally be like, hey, and this, I also got this, and this adds to the storyline, and this is how.
That is something that I definitely do in my readings. Like I've done readings before where I'm like shuffling. I haven't even pulled the cards yet, and I have something screaming in my brain that is like, holy crap, you need to tell them this. And I'll be like, cool your jets for just a second, please. And I'll like write down the stuff that I have before I even pull these dang cards, and then I'll pull them. And oftentimes it goes very hand in hand. And not everybody gets it before their cards. Sometimes it's after, sometimes it's during. Those messages that you get in your head, even if it has nothing to do with what the meaning of the card is, include that. because you're in your divination moment, you're connecting, it's very relevant. And that's a great question, a great point.
Forming and delivering of the reading. This is where your questions, Mom, will be getting answered the most. So this is the section that Sarah will really be driving in home to you. Allow yourself to be honest and compassionate. Just because it's a scary, mean read doesn't mean you can't be compassionate to yourself as well and to the other person. Following a natural flow while still covering all the bases. And don't overcomplicate it. I stress that a lot because I feel like you guys, some people, not you guys, sorry. Some people go into a read and they're like, okay, this is great, this is golden, I got this. And then they start pulling cards and then it's just one after another, after another, after another. And even though you felt that was right, sometimes that message isn't getting across the way you were hoping. It's a little muddied up. And now you overcomplicated what could have been very much more simplified if you would have used less.
What does the most recent comment say? Because I've scrolled up to your mom's comments, so I can't read it right now.
My mom said, I feel that I want to get a tarot deck and try to do a read.
Awesome. You should do that. I support that decision.
I support that decision all the time.
27%. Do it. Do it now. Okay. So, okay, now this is going to be the section that is long awaited and there's a lot of questions. It is talking about delivering negative messages specifically.
Hello, Serenity.
Twofold to this. Oh, hey, Serenity. Nice for hopping
No
in. We are catching up the end of our like informal information bit, and then we're going to go into our next partnership. But where we're at now is delivering negative messages. And I mean this two ways. Negative messages, like the reading message is just negative for your person, or delivering like negative, like I can't do this reading for you, I don't connect. So I'm going to answer both of Beth's questions and then I will go on my spiel. So the original question is, so my question is, if someone doesn't connect with the person they are reading for, or the person who is getting the read doesn't connect with the reader, does that mess up the read? Does that mess up the read? Does that make the read wrong for the person? Okay, so it's not wrong to not super connect. And so I have given readings to people before where I'm confident in the reading, but I wasn't super connected to them. And it just isn't a super in detailed reading. It's just a very general reading. And you can do that. And if you're confident still in your reading, then you can do that. It's not a wrong thing to happen. And maybe you don't feel super connected. And maybe the person that's getting the reading might not feel super connected. And then that's okay. And then you'll just know maybe this reading wasn't for me. Or you could give a reading and feel very confident in your reading, and then the other person could not connect to it. And it's not your fault as a reader, you delivered the message in which that you got. And so as the person who receives the reading, it is okay, well, if the message doesn't resonate with you, it is your job as an adult to be tactful and respectful when letting this person know it doesn't resonate with you. But I'm going to tell you this, and I don't mean this in a mean way. I'm holding your hand when I say it. If someone sends a message that says the reading doesn't resonate, I guarantee you they're going to respond with, to wait, and it will resonate with you in the future. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I just mean that in a genuine way, because it's not necessarily going to be an instantaneous thing. I've done readings for myself where I'm like, cool, that made no sense. And then a year later, I'm going through my notebooks and I read that, and I was like, that reading hit me like a freight train, and I didn't even realize it.
I want to add Serenity's comment before you go too further, because it actually ties into this. Serenity says, ooh, I feel so bad when I give negative reading, especially when it's one of my blunt decks. And she also goes on to say, yes, Sarah Loki, I've been there to... Yeah, Loki, sorry. I also am dealing with a really dry mouth. My tea's upstairs.
It would be cool if I was, but...
I know. It really would. And sometimes I hit it on the spot, but still not very connected to the person.
Okay, yeah. Do you want to respond to that?
I've been there too. I've been there where I've given a spot on read, especially in WWR. I've done it there. I have given a spot on read and I've questioned myself after I posted that read and I'm like, man, I really didn't hit that. There's no way. I really don't understand how I did that. And then come to find out that, hey, I actually really did hit that straight on the spot. So I've been there, Serenity. And as a reader, most of you will go through that at some point if this
You're
is
not
something that
always
you
going to
stick
connect.
to.
You're not always going to connect like super hard to people's energies, especially if you're doing like a WWR random free reading, you're a tarot reader and you're just reading for random people, or you're just practicing, so you're giving random people's readings, you might not connect very well. And that would be a sign that that's not an in-depth reading. And that's perfectly fine. You can give generic readings, general readings. It doesn't have to be super in-depth.
And there are ways to give a negative reading with by blowing it nicely.
We're going to talk about that in a minute.
We're
Sure.
gonna lighten. We can lighten that blow. So I just wanted to make that aware right there before you dove into that.
You're good. I'm going to read the last question that's way far back from your mom, Beth. So the question is, okay, so when you do a reading for someone and that read is not full of sunshine and rainbows, so that person says it was horrible and that, oh, my voice. So that person says it was horrible and that you're wrong. How do you handle it? Sorry, that was traumatizing. My voice broke.
Thanks, Mom. I love you.
Okay, I'll read those other messages in a second. My brain hit the distraction button. So we were kind of talking about that. So let's say you're doing a reading for someone and the reading is like horrible. I'm going to provide a generic example. This is not anyone's reading for anything. Let's say the cards say you're going to go through a nasty divorce, you're going to go through a period of isolation, and you need to cut everyone out of your life because everyone in your life is freaking horrible and they're doing you wrong. Whoa. Right? If I just looked at you and I said, your tarot reading says you need to leave everyone in your life, they're trash, and you could do better, you're not going to like that. You're going to be like, holy crap, lady, what are you doing? Why are you saying that? Because that is not the way to deliver that in one single bit. So the way that if you have a super blunt, straightforward message, that's when you pull into your nice spiritual side, your compassion, and understand that yes, you might be right. The cards might be honest. Maybe these people are surrounding themselves with people that are not serving their highest energy. But you have to take a step back and be like, this person is in a place that's not great. So I'm going to let them know. I'm going to say the signs that the cards are looking for. The cards are saying that there are people that are energy vampires in your life. You need to take a step back and see who is serving of you. I'm not telling you to delete everyone from your life. I'm telling you, the person who's getting the reading, to acknowledge what is going on, to see who's serving and not, to look at how your energy is being taken or not. And then maybe the next card is like the Hermit and like reversed. And I'm telling you that you need to carefully pull yourself away from unserving energy and surround yourself with serving energy. What a nice way to say don't be around douchebags and go be next to nicer people. But I'm not wording it like that because that would be mean. So I'm being tactful. So you can have a super like I know the answer and not be able to say it in a rude way. And hey, Giselle, it's totally okay being late. We're finishing up and then we're going into the next, well, finishing up what we're talking about, then going into the next partnership. I'm going to read these messages really quickly if you want to say anything about what I said, and then I'm going to actually read my spiel. Oh, I think you have a mouthful. I'm so sorry.
You're fine. I'm just munching because I'm hungry.
I'm hungry too. I'm making dinner after this. And Serenity,
I don't know if
totally
my
hope that
parents made dinner.
I'm the parent right now. I gotta make dinner. So
My dad actually grills on Sundays, but he didn't grill today, so I think it's a fun for yourself.
So things that I didn't already say would be understanding the importance of an honest message. Delivering a negative message is important, even though it is difficult. Using bluntness, but tactfully and with compassion. giving your message in a very tactful and compassionate way. Something you would feel comfortable saying to your grandmother.
I was just going to say the best
Being
way, or to a nun.
Yeah. Someone that is very, like, old-fashioned, respectable. You're not about to have no potty mouth, so be nice. Expressing ways to avoid negative things. This is where I pull my horizontal and my diagonal cards. These are uncertain cards. So how could you do something to avoid these bad things happening? Maybe the cards are showing a bunch of bad shit, but it's showing that it might not happen. If I was going to do that reading, I'm not going to just say a bunch of bad stuff's going to happen and hope you figure out how to fix it. No, I'm going to tell you different ways that you can connect to yourself and try to figure out how to connect to it. Or if it's not something you can avoid, in this reading, I'm going to explain why it's a necessary evil, why these bad things have got to happen for us to move on, and expressing that it's a journey. It's not always going to be negative. It will lead to growth, and it will be positive. And giving advice on how to work through the negativity. So I hope, in all helpness, that it helps people give these negative messages. And don't be afraid to give the message. Because if you look at someone, you be like, well, this is bad, and they can tell this is bad, and then you don't tell them, they're going to panic. They're going to assume the absolute worst, and it's not going to be great. So you need to be able to level yourself and tactfully give them that negative message. I hope that helps. And if you have anything you want to tack on, Cheyenne.
And remember that jumping into the expressing of the journey, every journey has obstacles, and that's how you can look at that when you're talking to them and bringing that message to them. Bring it as if you are as a obstacle versus a negative manner. That is a huge way that I turn negative messages around. I lost the rest of my train of thought.
Practice helps. It's not going to be easy the first time you deliver a negative message. It's not going to be easy the 10th time you deliver a negative message. But it will get easier. You will learn how to do it better. There's going to be moments where you might have said something kind of rude. And this is where feedback on your reading helps. Someone can be like, this is respectful feedback. Someone could be like, hey, that came out a little blunt. You know what I mean? I don't have to instantly pull my defensive arm around and be like, why'd you say that to me? I can be like, that came out a little blunt. Is that what you meant by that? Nicely. And then we would get a lot farther. Communication is key. Oh, right here. Resonating.
And then I want to go into resonating over time. This is a huge one. And I know we've touched base throughout this entire live, so I'm going to briefly go over this. Sometimes readings take time to resonate. A day, a week, 2 weeks, a month, a year, 6 months. I'm throwing out random numbers because it can take any amount of time. Maybe a couple hours, maybe a couple minutes. You don't know. But that is why we tell you to write it down. It will resonate at some point. It will hit you like that. An already resonating read could change the way it resonates over time as well. That's why I like to use my journal. I like to write down my reads because I want to know how that makes me feel 2 years down the road, because maybe I got something else from that. And maybe that read resonates to me at this very moment because it ties into this part of my life. And you need to be able to accept an undesired outcome. You cannot sit there and be like, I don't like these cards, give me new ones. I don't like these cards, give me new ones. I don't like these cards, give me new ones. Because at the end of the day, all you're doing is making your deck mad at you, making yourself mad at you, and you're never going to get what you need. It will not resonate in any way, shape, or form, other than to tell you that you need to stop being bullheaded and let these cards come out the way they're supposed to.
Definitely.
So I don't know how to type my question.
You don't know how to type your question.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, speak it.
Okay. So If you're giving a read to someone,
I'm
Okay.
giving Beth the microphone.
what?
I'm giving Beth the microphone.
Go ahead, speak.
Okay, so seriously, if you're giving the read to somebody who is, let's say, I don't want to say ditzy, but like they believe everything, even if it's positive, is going to be negative. Like they believe it as to be negative. Like, how do you
A
explain?
Debbie Downer, I guess it would be a way to word it.
Okay, yeah,
Okay, so
that's
it
fine.
would be that would be a time that I would say those affirmation cards, to be honest. Or just even if you don't have affirmation cards, pulling a positive like statement that is like sounds nice, like wrapping a bow up around it is a nice way to do that. And then compliment sandwiches, that's another thing. If there's anything negative in a reading at all for someone that takes it all to negative, putting the nice stuff, then the small little like you need to work on this, and then adding a lot of cushion back afterwards is another helpful thing to keep that negative just lower and mostly being positive. But then that's also comes to a point where that's not something that you control like too much. That's where the person that is receiving the reading needs to do that inner shadow work and that inner work on themselves to be able to accept that divination to them, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. I mean, I have 1,000 more questions, but
You can message me questions whenever you want.
You can stop sitting on me too.
Okay, so this is where you left off.
Difference between doesn't resonate and dislike. Respecting and expressing non-resonating readings tactfully. What is the difference between it resonating and disliking? Resonating, you are feeling it, you know it's there, you know intuitionally that was meant for you or meant for that person or however you go about it, that was meant for you, and you're just okay. Maybe I just don't understand that message right now, so let's just put that down somewhere and I'll go back to it. Disliking is you pulling it out, you know it resonates, and you're just like, no, and put that right back in the card deck. Like, I don't want to see it, I don't like that, I don't like that message.
And disliking is okay, but you have to be able to dislike and accept. And then not resonating is okay. You just have to be able to take not resonating and understand why this doesn't resonate and still write it down in case one day it changes. So we hope you liked that very, very, very long, and it was long because we had to go super in depth through like the whole journey of reading. And thank you for all of the fabulous questions on the things that we had. And if you have any during the replay, hit us with them. But now is the long-awaited next partnership. Bum bum. So that way people in the replay can see the seriousness. Thank you. So our prompt idea for this partnership is to request a topic from a list of categories that I'll give you in a second for your partner to do the reading for you. What I mean by this is I'm going to give you a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different types of readings you can do. And then your partner is going to be like, this is the reading that I want. You guys don't have to pick the same one. I'll give you the list and then I'll explain. So general reading, spiritual reading, healing reading, conflict reading, or life path of the soul. I'm not going to repeat it again because we will type it on everything and I said it there. But we will put it in the group chat. We'll put it on the signups. You will not forget it. So let's say let's pretend Cheyenne and I are partners. And I say, Cheyenne, I want a spiritual reading. And she says, okay, great. I want a healing reading. Great. They don't have to be the same one. We both know it. And now you as the reader can decide. I can be like, okay, am I going to read traditionally? I'm going to read non-traditionally. That's why we did this live. You read it however you want to read it. Minimum of 3 cards, though, just because it's a partnership and there needs to be information to it. So at least 3 cards. You can do whatever you want with that, and it needs to be in the topic. I'm going to say the secret word. Secret word. Don't type it in the chat. Don't type it anywhere. Don't even type secret word in the chat so they have to watch the whole live because it's a long one and we'll know that they watched it. The secret word.
And you'll repeat it at least once after you say it once.
Yeah, I'll repeat it. I'll say it again. But I meant don't type it in the chat. But the secret word is Mad Hatter. It's 2 words. I'll spell it. MAD space HATTER. Mad Hatter. It's from Alice in Wonderland. And so I will go over the dates real quick for the next partnership. The signups are going to go up after this live. Cheyenne will post them. They'll go up on the 8th, and they will run through September 11th. And if you get on Facebook in the middle of the night and you add your comment, that's fine. But on the morning of the 12th, whenever we start with the comments and we start going through them on the morning of the 12th, because names go out on the 12th, then we won't accept it. We'll turn off commenting on the Facebook post. So if you can still comment on the Facebook post, you can sign up. You don't have to worry about being too late. You got it. So signups 8th through 11th, names go out on the 12th. The partnership will run from September 12th through September 22nd. The 12th through the 22nd. That gives you a big chunk to do your reading. And then we will have a Google Doc feedback form that we put in the group chat, and that will be due on the 24th of September. So you will have a couple days to do that. And I'll repeat the secret word this last time. It is Mad Hatter, 2 words. And if Cheyenne would like to hit us with the end.
Sorry, just
Thank
pulling
you,
that up.
Giselle. You are so welcome. I'm so glad that you loved it. I noticed that for sure. Sometimes I can see the same card being pulled often, and that's when I realize I'm getting a message I would not otherwise notice if I wasn't writing it. Yes, repeating cards throughout multiple readings, that's a good way to notice too.
A recap of the rules and regulations of the Tarot Partnership Program. You need to have full-on communication with us and with your partners. We will not accept non-communication at all. Yes, I understand everybody's sparse. It may not be right there on the bot, but please don't let anybody go on red for days or a week at a time. Please keep that open, and always, 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 if there's any issues, please, please, please let us know. Provide thorough feedback, and you need to complete your read. Reads can be done in many different types of forms, such as video chat, typing, video, etc. You must give each other feedback on the read, what resonated and what doesn't make sense fully, if you could get more clarity on something, so on and so forth. You are agreeing to the 3-strike policy as we had introduced 2 months ago, back when we restarted capping this whole thing. Recap strikes include lack of communication, no feedback, toxicity, and ghosting for 48 hours. You are agreeing to sit out for 1 week and providing a probationary reading coming back into the program if you 100% do not complete your read. You acknowledge and agree to be added into a group chat and with all participants and crones for communication purposes. You acknowledge and agree to be privately messaged by whom your partner is, and I just clicked buttons, bear with me a second.
I will say I'm not going to do an example reading for this live because of how long this live is, but if you go to our random chit chat live, I did a bunch of random readings, so you can see just random readings there.
And you also acknowledge and agree to be privately messaged by whom your partner is. Please keep that in mind. Also, that our signups will go as accordingly this time around. I will like to recap one more time for those of you who are jumping in now. Even if you go to watch the replay, I would like to recap one more time. I will not participate in this tarot program this time around. I will still be in the chat. I will still be around for you guys to send messages. Don't hesitate to message me in any way, shape, or form. That is what I am here for. But Sarah will take the brunt of it. She will be the one that does most of this program, this partnership this time around. And I will see all of y'all back in October.
And I do respond relatively fast usually, so I will not leave you hanging. But with what Cheyenne was saying with communication to your partners, not everyone talks a lot. And so that's okay. You might not have a lot of communication, but we ask to respond within 48 hours to your partner. We all understand a busy day, that's why we don't say 24 hours, but within 2 days, you can send a message to your partner, even if it says, hey, I'm super busy right now, I will reach out to you very shortly. That's just something, you know what I mean? It just lets your partner know that you know that they're there. So within 48 hours, please try to respond to your partner.
Yeah, like I said, communication goes a very long way, and if you want communication, I bet you 5 to 1 your partner wants the same thing, and that is the only way that this program will continue to run as smoothly as it does. So please, please, please keep in mind to have that communication when you are doing your reads. Is there anything else you would like to add to our
I'll say
live?
thank you everyone who stayed for our 2-hour live, I'm pretty sure. Can't see the timer, but I'm pretty sure we're at that. So thank you a whole lot. And we hope that this just in-depth raw breakdown of the process of reading helps, because we were getting a lot of questions about that. So I felt like we really needed to do that. And don't worry, we will resume our additional divination with our next Tarot Live. And that is on August 13th, where we will be doing our spookier kinds of divination because it is October. So once again, we appreciate everyone for being here, and we really, really hope you sign up for the partnerships. We would love to see you. I hope to have one of you lovely ladies as my partner, because I will be doing it. But I think that is all we have.
Awesome, and I am very grateful for you guys to be here today, and thank you guys for joining us and bearing with me with my delightful, as I say, technical difficulties. I do appreciate you guys always working with me. As always, have a blessed evening, ladies, and blessed be.